Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Getting a little bit of a late start here on Monday, but it's a good thing that I am because we still don't know what's up with Jared Allen for that Cavs and Boston Celtics game. We still don't know if Donovan Mitchell is now playing for the Cavs as well. He was not seen at shoot around for that team. So bit of an advantage for starting a little bit later here on the day with this news coming through for that Boston and Cavs game. Also going to be taking a look at Dallas and the Thunder. I've got 6 best bets right now between these two games for you guys. Gonna have a few more as well, I would imagine, as soon as we get to that live stream today, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna be doing that every day this week as well. Weekends we go a little bit earlier, but gonna be getting it in today here right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at those plays that I've got for Monday. Let's start with a total in this Boston and Cavs game, and we're going under 207.5, as I think this thing will continue to remain slow the way it really slowed down in the second half of last game. An 81 pace in the second half there in game 3 there when Boston won, and really no easy shots, I should say, for both of these teams in this series as a whole, and certainly in this last game as well. 30 combined free throw attempts between these two teams, and that includes the only game that had a team, which was the Cavs, shoot more than 20 free throws. They put up 24 attempts in that game 2 win that they had. So that was the only game where we've seen either of these teams get 23 free throw attempts for themselves, which means really everything needs to come from 3 more than anything else. Some stuff at the rim, but both of these teams protecting the rim at a really nice rate here, especially in the playoffs. And so for the Cavs, that 46% 3-point shooting that you saw in game 2, I don't think that's going to be replicated. Probably a little bit better than 29% that we saw in game 1 and 3 combined. But I still think that it's probably closer to about 33% for this Cavs team. That's basically what they've been shooting for the majority of the playoffs at this point. And for the Celtics, they might make, 35 to 36% of their threes and still get a good amount of points off of that. But they're slowing things down majorly for the Celtics. 90 field goal attempts that they took in game 1 versus just 85, 84, and 86, respectively, in games 2 and 3 here for Boston. So things have slowed down a ton for them. They are getting a few more guys, more minutes off the bench, but that's only because guys like Derek White slowed down a little bit in last game, had a pretty nice second half, but for the most part, everything is just so slow now between these two teams. And you've got that Donovan Mitchell injury right now. So I just don't trust the Cavs' ability to score. I don't see them getting 100 points, to be honest with you. And this Celtics team right at about a 101.5. A little bit more than that team total rather, but I still think they're going to keep things slow. I don't know that you can rely on the what do we have, 61 points from JB and JT in this last game. Both of them played a little bit above their pay grade in the last one. I expect Tatum to kind of remain not necessarily in a funk, but I don't think 33 points with that good of 3-point shooting is going to be what you want to rely upon for him. And even if Donovan Mitchell does play, he went crazy from 3 last game as well. So we're kicking it off with an under here, as I think things regress a little bit on offense and the pace continues to trickle downward. Kind of getting ahead of this Donovan Mitchell potential injury, or at least like his status here, which is still somewhat up in the air for game 4. Let's go to Levert, who's been good anyway in this series once he started getting the necessary minutes and usage to really help out what's been an incredibly stagnant offense, right? And in games 2 and 3, a little bit better on offense from this team, and he finally got that usage and those minutes up. And he's a part of this is going to be how crucial he is, a part of this small ball lineup that sometimes they run, because when they don't run it, their offense is really stagnant. Plus, Evan Mobley got hurt in this last game, so they were forced to run some of that small ball stuff. I'm not saying they want to, but when they do run it, this dude is very, very important for them because he's basically their best rebounding guard at this point. Max Strus, whatever you want to consider him, probably small forward. Levert as well. Both those dudes in similar roles, but Levert's actually been a better rebounder already than Max Strus right now. He averages 10 minutes per game in the fourth quarter in this series, which is something that I look at to see, does the coach actually trust this dude to play in big minutes, or is he just playing this person because he needs to give his starters a rest? And for Levert, now that he's up to about almost 30 minutes per game in this series, and in the last 2 at about 29 minutes per game, I think that indicates he's going to continue to be an important part of this rotation rather than just a dude who, like I said, gives a blow to the better players on the starting lineup. The 10.3 rebound chances and 11.7 field goal attempts in this series, right in line with the uptick that he's seen in minutes as well. Versus Orlando, about 22 minutes per game. Now he's up to almost 28. The 4.5 rebound chances versus Orlando, more than double that, 10.3 in this one. And the 7 field goal attempts that he took last game, about 5 fewer than he's taking in last series, rather, than he's taking in this series now, up to almost 12 field goal attempts. He's had 12 or more in the last 2 games as well. And so I think the last 2 games are really the beginning of the uptick for Caris LeVert that's going to be consistent moving forward, because he's too important to this series with his height and size and versatility and ability to score off the dribble and not necessarily need playmaking from someone else to help him get his points. So I think he's good for another 5 to 6 rebounds. That rebound prop is really low. That's why I have no problem adding it to his roughly 10.5 point prop, which is also too low. Put them together for plus money on FanDuel, and I've got a full unit on it. Dean Wade coming back for game 4. And he came back in game 3, had a really nice game, showed his worth there. And so we're taking him at over 11.5 points and rebounds. This was a lot lower right when it opened, but it immediately closed down. And the Donovan Mitchell news also kind of came into play. Jarrett Allen might play. And if he doesn't, I still don't think he does, to be honest. He wasn't at shoot around either. But if he does play, this is still an okay number for Dean Wade, because I don't know what we're going to get for Allen. If we had a full health Allen in this one, maybe you feel a little bit scared of Dean Wade still. You want to see what his minutes look like in game 4. But with, at best, a very banged up Jarrett Allen still, Dean Wade's too important to their rebounding, and the fact that they can put him on the floor to rebound without sacrificing offense. That's really the subplot here, which is if you play Mook Morris, Marcus Morris Sr., or Tristan Thompson, all right, Tristan Thompson's still a good rebounder. You're getting 0 on offense. You're getting a nothing on offense. And in fact, a net negative, to be honest, because he's still going to turn the ball over pretty consistently, is Tristan Thompson. Marcus Morris didn't even play in the second half of this last game. And Tristan Thompson played 1.5 minutes in the second half. In fact, Tristan Thompson wouldn't have gotten any minutes in the second half if Evan Mobley didn't get hurt and have to leave in the third quarter. Either way, Dean Wade is someone that they trust and that they'd rather have out there for even longer than the 17 minutes that he played in game 3, which was his first game back, because they kind of need to ease him into it. The second half of last game, though, they were done easing. It was 10 minutes for him, small ball center. Maybe Evan Mobley doesn't get hurt, but I still think those minutes stay around 10 minutes or so in the second half. In fact, they should increase in this game, even if Evan Mobley is healthy. And if Jarrett Allen is healthy, like I said, I still don't think he's healthy enough to give them 30 minutes. So that's still about 20 to 25 from Jarrett Allen. Still plenty of possibility that Dean Wade gets 20 minutes in this game. He was a plus 12 in this last game. And like I said, they just trusted him way more in the second half. He had 5 points on some bad shooting, to be honest, 2 for 6 from the field, but 3 boards, 3 assists alongside his 3 potential assists. So you don't necessarily want to depend on the assist for Dean Wade. That was a situation where they closed out on him, and as he was going to the rim, he kicked out in one of them, and then the other 2 rebounds, other two assists were off of offensive rebounds. So those are still more likely to be, those are something you can bank on, basically, the rebounds, more than having to rely on Dean Wade to get a very specific type of situation where he gets an offensive board and passes it out. So I left the assists off of this. But the PR at just 11.5 now, I think he's good for about 8 points or so. He should be taking 7 to 10 shots, and he should be looking at about 8 rebound chances, which should be good to get him about 4. So I think he's going to play enough minutes here moving forward. That's what they would like him to do, is keep increasing them, and he'll get us to that 12 points and rebounds in game 4. So I like an under for this game, but I just took 2 overs for player props. So that means we probably got to go under for somebody else's player props here. And that's going to be Max Strus, who just kind of continues to just dwindle as far as his really importance in the offense. And maybe importance is the wrong word. I still think Max Strus's threat to shoot from 3 is going to be crucial for this offense, but he hasn't been making them, and he's barely been taking them. It's more of just the threat to have him out there. Plus, he's been a good rebounder and defender, and I think he'll continue to get the minutes. But everything else has just gone down and dissipated, like I said. So if you look at the season stuff, 32 minutes a game is actually 2 fewer than the playoffs, but everything else was much greater in the regular season, with 10 field goal attempts, 6 potential assists. Now he's at 34 minutes per game, but 8 field goal attempts and 4 potential assists throughout these playoffs, yet to go over in this series, right? The other thing that's obvious, he's not really relied upon to do much with the ball in his hands. So he's really, all of his stats are dependent on other guys getting him the ball off of a screen or screening for him as he comes around it. Has not been the focal point of this offense, right? For the entirety of the playoffs. He's down to about 3.3 drives per game versus about almost 5 that he took in the regular season, and 55 touches per game in the regular season versus now 47, right? And so that means that he's really not even getting the ball in his hands quite as often. His average time of possession is down because he's not expected to dribble and do play make at all. It's really like you come off the screen action. If you get the shot, put it up. If you don't, give it right back to Donnie or to Darius Garland or even to Karis Levert at this point, who's starting to overtake Max Strus in his usage and involvement really in the offense, what they expect of him. So the assists should continue to be nothing for Max Strus. The points, the rebounds I stayed away from because there's always the random game that he gets like 8 to 9 boards, and that's possible for him with the way that they need help rebounding, but they don't need help playmaking. Obviously, if Donnie Mitchell doesn't play today, I expect him to. If he doesn't play, okay, then Max Strus is a little bit worse of an under here. But if he does play, like I said, which I expect him to, expect that usage to stay up for Donnie. Not going to be much available for guys who can't create their own shot. So Karis Levert, much better over. Max Strus, much better under today. Let's move it to the West Conference real quick. Go over OKC and Dallas. And the first bet I have here, a same game parlay between SGA to get 25, Kyrie to get 20, minus 130 on DraftKings. Yeah, a little bit juiced down, but I think these are two very likely scenarios that I've really got as a conservative bet more than anything here. For Kyrie, I do think this is going to be a scoring game for Kyrie. He could let us down. He's randomly will not, but I think there's two things working here. Kyrie was told he needs to shoot more and shoot earlier as well, and he made that clear in the post-game conference, as did Jay Kidd in this last game where Kyrie went off again in the second half to get over the 20 points after a very slow first half, which has been the case. And I think there's live betting opportunities here for Kyrie because of the fact that you've seen him score 6.3 points per game in the first half. For a dude who's a 20 per game scorer, that's insane. But then he comes back in the second half, averaging 17 points per game in these playoffs. So it's been consistent for him now. This isn't like a 1 or 2 game thing where he's slow to start and then picks it up. It's been Kyrie in the playoffs. And a part of that is that Luca's doing his thing in the first half way more. And Luca's injury has then caused him to slow down in the second half. And that's going to continue to be the case with just one day off. Luca's back, his knee, his elbow, all that stuff continues to get hurt. Seems like he's on the ground smacking his head on the floor like twice a game these days. So there's clearly still some I guess, health issues that you can say at worst for Luca. He's going to play. It's fine. I don't make it seem like that, but his usage and everything is a little bit lower, especially in these second halves when Kyrie takes over. Kyrie has gone 20 plus in 8 of these 10 playoff games. And for SGA, 25 is about as conservative as it gets. The only times in these playoffs that he has not scored 25, he got 24 both times. That was against New Orleans, and those were both blowouts where he really didn't have to do much of anything in the fourth quarter and really didn't play much in those fourth quarters. So with him taking 22 shots a game in these playoffs, which in the last 2 games it's been up to about 24 shots per game versus this Mavs squad, I mean, 25 plus should be a cinch for him. It would be 10 out of 10 if the Pelicans didn't suck so bad and get blown out in those 2 games. So we're going to take these 2 dudes to get a slightly reduced alt line, combine them, and then get minus 130 on our money. Speaking of Luca, this is a part of that Kyrie bet, and we're going to also bet against Luca in this game. I'm sure the Discord is going to give me hell when I get back in there and talk to these guys, which link is in the description, free for now. If you do want to jump in there and get these picks early, already dropped all these plays in the Discord so that they can make sure they get the exact same lines, which right now might be pretty important as things are moving a lot, especially in that Celtics game. But in this one right here for Luca, I still just think he's banged up, man. And the under 37.5 points and assists sounds crazy when you put it next to Luca's name and see that he's had point props up at about 33, 34.5 points in these playoffs and in the regular season. But now this stuff's taking its toll. And in the second half of these games, this is another kind of like live betting opportunity for Luca, which is, does he score a lot in the first half? All right, cool. He's done that plenty. His stuff in the first half is pretty much the inverse of Kyrie. Then if he's up and his points prop goes up to 34, 35.5 because he has 18 in the first half, I think that's a live under right there for Luka Doncic. We have not seen him able to sustain this type of play into the second half of games during the playoffs and especially in this series. His usage rate down to 22% last game, which was 10% in the second half, right? That usage all came in the first half. In the second, not able to do as much, not even able to assist as much. And the pull-ups here, I use that because his pull-up field goal attempts are down about 5% from what they were in the regular season. It's a significant number. It's like 3 less pull-ups a game. I mean, the pull-ups are a big part of him being able to do that is stamina and obviously health. But it's hard to, you've seen it with Jalen Brunson, really hard to get those pull-ups and be quicker than your defender to get the ball up before he can get his hand up. If you're not as quick and your lower half essentially isn't able to move as well as it would to get those off. The other thing is those touches, barely even touching the ball in the front court at this point, 29.7 touches in the front court per game now in this series. That ain't going to cut it. I mean, Jokic was at 62 in this last in his series right now versus Minnesota, and has been around that for the entire season, which is the same concept for Luca, up at about 60 front court touches normally when he's healthy. But I think all of this just tells the story that he's not. And even if he does superhuman Luca stuff for spurts during a game, you can't expect that for the entirety of it, which would get him to about 38, 40 PA if he could do that stuff. If you put him at about 30 and 10, which his assists have been way down, by the way, as well. The potentials, all that stuff. I know that guys are shooting pretty well occasionally for the Mavs, but really the corner stuff hasn't been there for him. He's not looking for Josh Green or Derrick Jones Jr. very much right now. And I just don't think he's going to be able to get both of these things together. If he does dime up a bit more because he's hurt, fine, put him at 10 assists. I still think he's good to go under 28 with the amount of shots he'll be taking. The usage is just down, and you're seeing a lot more stuff from Kyrie. So he's the guy I would rather back with points in this one and go under for Luca with the points and the assists. Final play here. You've seen me do it before. We're coming right back to it. We're going under 51.5 points total in the fourth quarter of this OKC Dallas game. It worked twice now. If you see anything around 51, 52.5 points in the fourth quarter, I'm going under. Even before this game, the series has slowed down a ton, like it did in these last couple games. The fourth quarter was still going well under. Now there was a blowout in game one. Maybe it has a little bit to do with it. But in the other two games, it's been close enough that both teams are trying in the fourth quarter, and we're still getting this under 50 pretty consistent. In fact, all three of these first three games went under 50. They averaged 43.3 points per game in the fourth quarter now. That pace is at about 87, and that includes a very fast pace here in this last game with both teams just the offense dwindling to almost nothing. You saw about an 84 offensive rating for the Thunder in this last fourth quarter. In the series now, it's at about 110, which includes an inflated 140 offensive rating in the first game when that game was already over and you really had the subs in with like 6 minutes left and both teams just flying up and down the court and scoring a lot of easy buckets, especially because there was Mavs backups in the game in the fourth quarter of game one. I think this is much closer. Like, I'm actually scared that the Mavs win this game, especially because they've been so much more dominant in the fourth quarter. A big reason for this under is the Thunder ability to score in the fourth, because this Mavs team just sells out entirely on SGA. There's probably a little bit of fatigue going on for Shai Gilgeous as well, because you consider how many shots he's taken in the first three quarters. Well, in this fourth quarter, he's about 1 for 8 from the field right now, trying to take as many shots as he can, but not getting very many good looks anymore. So both things really, but Luca's, sort of downturn in the second half, Shai's downturn in the fourth quarter, plus everything just slowing down in general as we get to this point in the playoffs. I love under 52 points in the fourth quarter of this game 4 right here. That's all the time I got for you guys. I'm looking to get this up right now so that we can go ahead and make sure you see some of these bets. Keep an eye on Jarrett Allen and Donovan Mitchell. Not sure if either of them are going to be available. I would say Donnie's way more likely to play than Jarrett Allen, and was probably getting some treatment this morning when he missed shoot around. That would be my guess. But one more reminder, if you don't have a Props.Cash account yet, I will be using Props.Cash during the live stream today at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. So show up for that if you can. Subscribe to the page as well and like the videos. Very helpful if you're getting some stuff out of this, what I'm bringing you each and every day moving forward. Also got the Discord live. The link is in the description of the video. Highly recommend getting in on that, as that is something that we've been doing a lot of recently, which is getting these early plays, finding these best bets with the really smart people that I have in the Discord right now, and we're all learning together here. So jump in the comments of this live stream today. Come on through. We go through these bets together and learn a lot together. Remember to gamble responsibly. Big ups to all y'all, and until I see you next, happy betting.